Patrice Johnson. I'm here with the Great Reset podcast where insurance meets accountability, and I'm here with the Mr. Clarence. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
How you guys doing? Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Patrice, for letting me be on here. Name is Clarence Enriquez. I'm based out here of Las Vegas, Nevada, as you guys can see in the background. A little bit about myself. Generally, before starting an insurance business, I was actually trying to be a physical therapist. Decided that it wasn't to be my route that I wanted to go, so I got into the insurance back in 2020 of December. In 2021, I did the first year. I think I did 250, 300 before I went into a different company. Um, I guess I'll start a little bit more about the background behind that. The reason why I left the other company is just wasn't in alignment in the value that I wanted to do with the business. And it led into a second company, which is the same thing, exactly what happened.
So, when you say the alignment into your business, what do you mean by that? Like, because it didn't happen again. So, it seemed to be a pattern in the
The
industry.
pattern.
So, what was that pattern that kept happening?
So I think the biggest problem in the industry right now, I think primarily it's it's the marketing.
Mm,
Everybody's like trying to market a product. So, and with most insurance marketing organization is the fact that it becomes a model of like just recruiting and not really about the client.
yeah.
And if the marketing is not on point to where it's not reaching the right person to be able to help them out exactly what they need, everybody's just trying to go a dog eat dog world of chasing after the next check.
Yeah.
And the only way for you to scale is you have to recruit. I didn't believe in that. I was a solo producer myself. Like I didn't care about anybody else. I can produce and I can help our clients. I can make money on my own. And I think that's why people followed me when we went to the second organization, because I could do that and I have the results for that. As far as like the insurance space and being able to kind of, I wanted to build a team based on operation and skills, and I couldn't do that with different type of like the wrong type of marketing. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like what you thought would be possible, what made sense, like your idea for how you think your business should be executed, do you feel like those places just didn't have the capacity to serve you there? If so, like why? I want to dig into that. It's like you're already at a company, you already have contracts here. Why would you cancel all your contracts and go somewhere else? Like that's a lot of
Oh
work.
yeah. Let me dig into that. That's a very meaty subject for sure. Um, as far as like here's how it is in the insurance space, and I'll be very transparent. Everybody says like, we got the best leads, they got the best contracts, we got this in place, we got all that in place. They say all this to the world, but what most people don't realize when they get into this industry and they're purchasing leads is that you don't control the people that these leads these marketing is reaching. So I want you to kind of imagine that you're casting a net on the ocean,
Mhm.
and you don't know what fish goes in there. I don't care if you got like the marketing is on point, but they're still marketing a product. So you don't control that. I mean, some weeks you may have some like um you may win with some big clients, sometimes you don't. But what happens if that continues to happen for a month straight?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? That's what I mean is the marketing is flawed. That's where I see the hole in the industry.
Mm.
And that's what kind of led me to what I'm doing now.
So essentially, it's almost like they didn't really have any solutions once that one didn't
Right.
exist. Then you were just kind of out on your own trying to figure it out. And it's
Right.
almost like for me, and I agree with you. I feel like we lost the basics because we've come into an era of instant gratification. I remember early
Correct.
on in my career, my buddy of mine that brought me into this industry would always tell me you got to learn delayed gratification, but there was nothing around me that would support that. It was like I had to have it now. So with that not being exercised in practice, we're watching the latter happen where you're seeing the bad, training and sales tactics, the bait and switch, getting
Mhm.
people to hand over their precious information almost as if it's routine, knowing dang well they may or not be covered for the policy that you're approving for, or they just don't want it. And we're trying to,
Right.
walk them into that sale. So I definitely understand you there. So that kind of jumps into the next question here for the business pro. How are you running your business differently with the home that you have now?
So I want to be completely transparent. I have my contracts from different people. Just
Hmm.
because, again, for me, I'm the type of person that I've been in this long enough to know that if I know where to find clients, I know how to do good business, and I know how to make money. That's reality for me. But as far as like how I'm doing business now, again, I came from the business where it's a lead based business. You know, we're purchasing leads to be able to sell the policy to the clients.
Hmm.
But again, that route didn't work for me because I saw a whole long term. Like if
Yeah.
I was going to build this model, and every agent on my downline is going to have to do that. If I was barely making it, the people beneath me who had less tenacity as I am is going to roll up debt to me. I already saw that coming, and I didn't want to deal
Hmm.
with it. So as far as what I'm doing now, is I partnered up with a company. I'm not going to name the company right now because I'm not entirely super sure yet.
Uh-huh.
Is I align exactly what they're doing as far as focusing on a specific target market. So they're niching down within the organization. And have you ever heard that term called niches are in their riches?
Yeah.
So technically what we're doing is we're targeting a specific type of people.
Hmm.
We know the pain points that they're dealing with, what struggles they may be having. Even though it's a cold call, I am very good to a point where if I get a conversation with someone that I know that I can help out, it's a much more meaningful conversation. And I'm having to service them with multiple policies at once. And it's not like I'm having to spend money. And
Yeah.
it's really just about the numbers game, and it scales up operations and skills. And that's what I look for.
Yeah, I would say that's a different flock from leads. Leads wasn't just a number game, it was a this
It's,
game. And a lot of us come into this
right?
business without that, which is my biggest complaint is we're bringing unqualified people into this business. Like this is not a side hobby. You could wreck
Right.
yourself. And I feel like we're not prepared or made aware of the repercussions of this business. I feel like the solve we usually get is write more business so you don't feel it, and that's what happened to me. I was using a certain type of
Same.
lead type that ran out, or at least ran out for me. So I then had to turn to the other sources. Those sources, again, I saw that same pattern you thought you did. When you kind of see that, hey, there's no end to this, I'm going to end up digging myself in the hole. So I was
Right.
still writing business, but then it came, I was writing business, but not seeing a return because now my expenses were adding up to what I was actually making in commission, minus, the natural fall off the books. And I was just like, oh man, I went from at one point at January that year, and this was, I want to say 2021, January 2021, having $30,000 in my bank account, give or take, to August only having 2 grand, and I had to pay the rent because I had just moved out here with my husband, and you know how it is with the first paycheck, you don't get one for 2 or 3 weeks. I had to spend my little coins. Like I was.
What it really ticks me off in the industry, and I didn't know this till now because in the beginning, like I thought, um, maybe the agent just sucks, right? Like
Mhm.
they couldn't perform. That's what I thought in the beginning because I didn't know any better. But I realized after working leads for so many times in this business for a long time is that it's generally just in regards to the marketing is very flawed.
Yeah.
You don't know exactly people it's reaching. So some people that are just really good people and they know they can sell and they can actually help out the client, they just add the other side of the coin, which is the risk behind that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it got me out of that kind of role and being in that hamster wheel all the time and led me to where I'm here, which it can happen, and that's what I want to get away from.
And that's why I was so happy that you said yes to coming on, because you have a perspective I think a lot of people are looking for. They just don't know where to start. Can you touch on a little bit? Because I know you said you're with the company now, it's not all set in stone, but you kind of have carriers everywhere. Can you kind of talk about the advantages of that or disadvantages?
Oh man. So in my first time getting in the industry, I didn't really know any better because like they just got the contracts working with um, a brother, or what I thought a brother of mine. He's my
Mhm.
first upline, FFL, I guess. Every time that I get into an organization, I realized I was building their business, and all my
Mm.
skin is. But as soon as like shit hits the fan and like something goes wrong that's out of my control, I'm gonna give you an example. Like when the first company, I'm not gonna name the company. So I
That's
think it's
fine.
as you know what, fuck it, it's Aetna, right? When they first came into the organization of like selling final expense back in 2021, I wrote them like 60, $70,000 of annualized premium, and then didn't have their shit together as far as like the policy being mailed to the client. So the clients are going to call me like, oh, are you scamming me? And I had all that rolled up to me, and then the agency couldn't do anything about it,
So
right?
was the company itself not mailing out the policies, or were you like LOA where it was your agency
No,
that was supposed to do it?
I was completely contracted with them. The company,
Wow.
it was the first time they ever rolled out final expense. So I didn't know that was happening. So I thought, this big insurance company, they're gonna be cool with that. But I'm getting all these calls, but I'm still running business, and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do with this? And the agency that I was with told me, hey, just gotta write more business. It's cool. I was like,
You're like, it's
bro,
not
like,
cool because there's several issues that need to be solved here. Like, number one, the clients aren't getting their policy.
right.
Why would I write more to end up in double? You know what I mean? Now I'm eating more than I can
It's
chew.
like, and I was telling him like, hey man, like you have an agency that's gonna, it's gonna give you the overrides to be able to recuperate that. I don't. Like I'm just a solo producer, and I'm your number one producer in this agency right now. What are you gonna do about this? And then I literally just had to eat that, right? Um, the second company, I pretty much recruited all these agents over there, and I was ready to build a team. I had to take a step down in production so I can train them, but they didn't have the resources. They just didn't. So again, it just boils down to the biggest benefits of me for like having contracts everywhere is that I want to be able to service the client as much as I can,
Yeah.
wherever they benefit from, or whichever company it is. But also, if I partner with a company now, I just want to make sure that your skin in the game as much as I am, because I have the
Yeah.
skill set. I know how to do this. If your skin is in the game, I have nothing to stand on when shit hits the fan.
Yeah, because we've been hearing the same rhetoric for years.
Same
So it's
shit.
like, listen, I know I can sell, I know I can get out there. What are you bringing to the table for me to actually do this?
Exactly.
You have the resources for me to actually execute my
Right.
business. Now, I know you touched on this a little bit already, but if you can kind of dive into this, what was your decision to forego going a team? Are you still against that? Or is that just a right now thing? Do you think you're going through a phase? What does that look like for you? And why did you forego a team?
So when I first got into this, is a good question. I'm not against it. I'm gonna say that.
Hmm.
But when I got into the second company, when I realized how crazy it is when people decided to follow me, and I had like 30 agents in a matter of like a week, which was crazy, that like reached out to me.
Hmm.
I got excited. I was like, oh, I don't have to work anymore or whatever. I had that little devil on my side just to be
I feel
real.
like,
But
if I'm being honest, I feel like you're telling my story. I think we all got excited, but go
right.
ahead.
So, but like I realized, but I knew I always wanted to be successful, and I wanted to train them the right way, that way I would do things. But again, I realized if I was to do that, I couldn't ask the agent to sacrifice as much as I am. I sacrificed all my life into this business, and I can't expect everybody to do that. So I knew
Hmm.
it wasn't super scalable based on the marketing. And of course, the second company didn't have the resource to be able to do that. They pretty much just lied about it,
Yeah,
right? Um, but for me right now, I know how to produce business on my own without anybody, and I want to get to a point where I'm confident that the company that I was with can back me up to be able to actually train those agents, and have them the resources for me to be able to train them, and the resource for them to make money. If they don't
exactly.
have that and their skin in the game, I'm not recruiting anybody.
Essentially, your business should be running while you're asleep. Like, they should be able to pick up anywhere, because I found that frustrating in the industry where, I don't know, if you needed a commission grid or, just something that wasn't easily attainable. It might have even been something someone created. It was just trying to put it all in one collective spot so we can just download and move on. It shouldn't be pulling teeth, or, one team's getting more resources than the other. Like, it should all be available, because I mean, there's millions of people in the United States. Why did you choose to focus on advanced market? What excites you about working in this space? And how do you ensure you're providing value to your clients?
Good question. So I think I've always been a numbers guy. Um, as far as the advanced market, the reason why I got into that is because for me, in the insurance world, I didn't know like all this thing existed until I got into insurance. We were just taught to sell final expense when we first start, and then you gradually got up to mortgage protection, and you got to go into IULs. The more I got in depth to the industry, I was fascinated by it. But of course, as money comes to the table, be able to make money with that, it comes with a lot of challenges. Because for once, like if you were able to explain clients, I think the biggest struggle is simplifying the advanced market to clients. Because if people, we're still in a sales position. Let's not let's be based. It boils down to we're still in a sales position.
Mhm.
If a client doesn't know what you're talking about, they're confused, or the decision is not going to happen. That's the biggest struggle with like being able to articulate and simplify things in the advanced market to individuals.
The next question is, what challenges do you think the industry face, particularly when it comes to advanced markets, and how are you addressing those
Okay.
challenges?
Um, for me right now, so me partnering with this company, since I'm going to be transparent, I don't have a license here 67. But what they do that I actually like is that they do a lot of joint work. So, like right now, I told you I was working with specific type of target market, specific individual, like for example, nurses, doctors, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And some of these profound people, they're more, and even engineers, they're more wanting to see the credentials for that, right?
Yeah.
But if I know they can have a conversation and they have the pain, they're willing to have a conversation with me, I can actually link that person with that advisor that actually has the license, and we can have a combination together as far as a split deal. That's how I'm addressing the problem. So
I
instead of
love
me
that. So
losing out
you're kind of
on
like being in the
opportunity,
middleman, making sure
right?
while, hey, I'm learning, I'm still going to be learning this stuff. I bring in a professional with me to
Right.
throw it in. It's like you're the sales guy in this position. You kind of repositioned yourself where before it was straight loss, risk. It was high
Yes,
risk, no reward. And now you're just like, how
exactly.
do I reposition myself, take the skills that I have developed over this time and reapply it to this industry? What was
Yep.
your training experience like before, and why you are partnering with someone that's more professional now?
Yeah. Okay. So in the insurance space, you have people that started out like in FFL, where it's like a lead-based business, and you have the other people that are in like network marketing, where it's like financial and education, all that stuff. Technically, they don't really have licenses; they just tell you that. But I learned like a little bit more details of like the fixed accounts and fixed index annuities and the IULs with them, and it's definitely good knowledge that they know exactly what they're talking about. And I realized that some of them don't actually have the license because with FINRA they have a lot of like restrictions on them, and I get it. But for me, being able to, what's the difference? I guess is everybody has different like perspective on like how they want to do the business. For me, I'm more focused on just getting the client in the door, because once I get the client in the door, that's the very first step how to get the business through. And most clients won't listen to you unless you have a license. So just me having a stand on and somebody who has a license to get the client in the door or the trust is built, then we can figure out how we're going to do as far as like what product it goes through.
So do
That's
you
it.
plan on achieving or getting your series 6 and 7? Is that something that's on the queue for you?
Uh, it maybe is because with the company, what they're saying is that obviously I don't get paid any assets under management, and if I'm going to bring in a lot of people in the door, and
Mhm.
some of those goes to us at assets under management, I'm losing out on money.
Yeah.
I thought about it. It's there in my mind, but I know it's going to take a lot of work later down the road. So
Yep,
it's not off
definitely.
the table, but definitely.
I always say slow and steady wins the race. You don't want to overload your plate. Okay, so we're kind of moving in towards the end here, and more of the what do you think needs to change in this industry question. So, in your opinion, what changes does the industry need to better support agents, especially those focusing on advanced markets? How do you think agent score report can play a role in fostering this evolution?
I think it's just in general is to back to the marketing. I think if everybody's competing with the same exact product or whatever it is they're marketing, it's going to create this culture where everybody's trying to chase after the next check. And if you're constantly trying to pressure and bring in more people in the door as far as agents go, it's just going to get any worse and worse, right? So I think for me, that's the reason why I don't want to recruit at this point, is because I don't have a system that I can plug people in and they're making money, and there's no hole down the road that the marketing doesn't go well. I have the answer to actually help them out with and not just leave them hanging. Um, Really just behind this process. I think everybody's kind of like glued to the money, and then I get it because we make a lot of money in this industry, but I'm more focusing on, I'm trying to last for 10, 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
not just for 5 years and it's done. I don't want to do that. Because like back in the industry that we in the company where it felt like, oh, they're trying to sell you this dream of like integrity for 2 years and you're done. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I'm young. Like I like to be in business. I
It
like
was
to,
always there was always this idea in the air, but there was no what about after? Like I get happily ever after, but what does the after look like? You
it
know,
doesn't
how do
thrill
you
me. Say that to answer your question as far as how I think you guys could help out with that problem. I think is interviewing agents that have been successful in the industry that fell off
Yeah,
because they have a story to tell. I'm talking about to the real agents that
yeah,
did fall
yeah,
off, right? I'm gonna make it no matter what. Like I've always
yeah,
had that mindset. Even if I have
yeah,
to bend a little bit, go this way, go that way, I'm gonna find it out. But for somebody that that actually did for whatever reason that happened to them that they can't control, that it happened a lot. Finding those people and their story behind it, that's it has a story to tell and very impactful to a lot of people out
yeah,
there. And it'll put a light on whatever happened within that organization or the
yeah.
marketing company or whatever it is that's still here today that don't give a shit at all. You know what I mean? So I
Exactly.
think that's
And my whole thing, it's not even just to like, like I said, this isn't the shade room. We're not trying to shat on anybody whatsoever. It's you just making a better informed decision. Because even if you decide to go to any of the companies that we talk about that maybe I didn't have a good experience at, it doesn't mean that's going to be the same for you. We're just telling you, expect these things to happen and learn how to work around it. Understand that, hey, they don't have a system in place. Understand this, hey, at this place, the leads are constantly resold. So while it is a numbers game, baby, your numbers just like infinity quadrupled because
right.
whoever else is within this organization is sharing the same leads, and so is that IMO, and those are the things that I feel like it's important. And it's like that's what I want people to understand. This is not to just, I don't want to do what the industry's been doing where we're talking badly about things and offering no solution. You are
Right.
here as part of my solution. I'm showing you, you don't have to be attached to one IMO, to one, upline, one agency manager, one company. You can spread yourself however you like, and things like that, and then reach out to people like yourself who have done it before.
I just want to say something.
Yeah,
Right now, I'm willing to have a conversation if we align values. That's a thing for me. Like whenever I try to work with agents, I gotta kind of see it's an interview process. Like
yeah,
I gotta know because in this business I've been dogged by like everybody that I worked with because I didn't know exactly what they were. Even
yeah,
my clients. So I'm gonna be transparent here. Like my first upline, the only reason why I have a vector and I'm being transparent I do have that is that he decided to go inside my book of business with one company. I'm not naming the company. Fuck it, America, and rewrite all my book of business with him, all the clients that I have, and wrote all that debt. And obviously, since the residuals are not paying off for the clients that he wrote for me, that still stayed there, and I'm still paying it off.
and that's the thing too. We're vector or not, it's about the responsibility of paying down. You're holding yourself accountable even though a bad thing happened to you. So I do respect you and thank you for sharing that, because I want other people not to be afraid that if you have a vector, no one's trying to talk to you. Show us a payment plan. Like, we get it. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that is not the first time I had heard that story. When I left organization to the next organization, obviously a slew of people came through. I heard too many stories that sounded like that, where your upline would tell you to write this particular product and it's being pushed because they get bonuses and overrides for it, but then they use their downline as their own personal book of business, rewriting those same clients with the cheaper company, and again making you look bad, because then your client is calling you, why didn't you show me this one? Why didn't you do this? Now you didn't
Right.
serve your client because you were in a place where, if I don't write this company that my company told me to, I'm going to get yelled at. And then it's like, and then if I do it, I run the risk of it getting rewritten easily, even if it's not my upline. Anybody can come into that house and sell something from a mail catalog could beat that. A
Mhm.
9.99, gimmick policy would
Right.
beat that policy. So I'm putting myself at risk and then losing trust and respect from my client that I did not do the right thing for them and put them in the best place possible.
You really build that relationships that you don't need to pressure the client. You can even send them like, hey, just sign all the information I need to submit your application. They're cool with that. Everybody's telling you what to do, but not how to do it.
As we kind of wrap this up here, here's our question. The last question here is, what do you see in the future of insurance industry? How do you envision agents and advanced markets contributing to its growth and integrity?
What do I foresee in the future of the insurance industry headed? and how do I envision agents in advanced market contributing to that growth and integrity? I think for me, to be honest with you, I'm not sure how to answer that because everybody has different perception
Yeah.
in the industry as far as like what they believe.
Yeah.
And for me, since I don't have the license of the Series 6 and 7, I don't have the perspective to have it. I can't foresee myself answering that question until I get there.
So we're seeing a lot of AI in this business that are now writing IUL policies. Have you heard any of that? And how accurate do you think it is?
I've actually never seen it. Um, it might be flawed because I think with Index Universal Life, the way it is a flexible product, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a mixture between term and whole life generally. Um, and it's really dependent on the clients, right? Like I have some clients where there's a higher life insurance because they need a little bit more space for them to contribute more later on.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a mixed max fund. I can't see an AI doing that,
Yeah.
to like critically think, right, for the client.
That was
And
kind
you
of my arguments to it. I had a software developer reach out to me and I was just like, no. They're like, wasn't it just clicking buttons? I was like, if it was final expense and term, I was
right,
I was like, but an IUL, it's not a one size fits all. It's a create a package, if you will.
right.
Like even selling it standard, I can see the AI selling it standard, but the thing is, nobody just buys an IUL just to have it as a standard product.
It's definitely a relationship thing and just figuring out what the client and like listening to the client. And I can't see generally how an AI could do that. It may
Yeah.
fit for organizations like where it's just a recruiting based business and they're just pushing the product through,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be in that route. So
No, I love that. Oh, well, that brings us to the end of the Great Reset. Is there anything else that you wanted to shout out, say, leave us with?
no, that's it. It's a good conversation. I had some heat that I wanted to bring out, and it came out, and now I feel better about it. I've been keeping this
Yeah.
for a while, like keeping on the. To be honest with you, I've been keeping on the radar for a little bit, moving in silence a little bit. But now that we kind of came across and you asked me to be on this podcast, I feel good about it. Thank
You're
you.
like, let's do this. Well, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for contributing. I hope to have you on as a guest and we talk about different topics and markets that are happening all along the way. With that being said, thanks for being with us here on the Great Reset, where insurance meets accountability. Make sure you head on over to agentscorereport.com and create an account. This is where you can review other insurance agents within your network. And you can create an account yourself so that you can put yourself out there to be reviewed by your clients and your colleagues within your inner circle to create the reputation that you want to present to the insurance world and to clients and consumers who may come across your profile. So again, that website is agentscorereport.com, and I look forward to seeing you there and giving you a 5-star rating.